Hey guys, Footy Manager TV here, and today I'm here with my first ever AFL fantasy video for this year. My setup team, I did only make it in 15 to 20 minutes, so no doubt there's going to be a lot of changes, more so in the rookie price players under 200k, just depending on their NAB Cup performances and who actually gets selected. So don't read too much into those. They're going to change just depending who's playing and who impresses myself. So first up, I'm just going to do a roundup of my team and why I'm selecting these players for now. And my next videos are going to come. I'm going to look through like the defender positions, midfield, rucks, and forwards for like players you have to look out for, like players that could potentially break through, mid-price players and rookie price players under 200k or just around that price. You see for Solo, he's just over 200k, so I think he'll fit in that position, whether it be a mid-pricer or a cash cow. I would still calculate him as a cash cow. I would imagine he'll make a lot of money this season, along with Nahas as well, but we'll get to that a bit later. For now, I've got McVeigh and Mitchell. I would imagine a lot of people have these two in defence. They're going to be sort of replacing the Gibbs and Goddard as you have to select them, the have to selects in your team. So I don't really need to talk too much about those. You know what those guys are all about. But the next two are more so unique players, I would say. Seedsman and Swallow, even though Swallow, I could see a few people selecting him, but Seedsman could be a bit more unique, even though he's more pricey than Swallow, which may not make sense. And he averaged more as well. That's a bit interesting. Like I've noticed, Swallow has been in more teams, but Seedsman, he cost a bit more, so that's probably scare people away. But he was a very good, really good average, and he's heading into his third season, so he averaged just under 80 in his second season. And you would imagine he would only improve from there, and he really impressed me as well. At times, really, he showed he can be a ball magnet, very similar to Dane Swan from his team, and I wouldn't be surprised if he's learning from him as well. So he could only improve, maybe push up to a 90 average this season, if not more. And he's going to be my unique pick, because I was going to say Swallow would be a unique pick, but because of his price and teams I've seen from other people, I really think Swallow will be a popular pick for that cheaper price. And then Matt Suckling, he's a good fantasy player, just coming back from the injury again. Another one I have to look at in his NAB Cup performances and see how he does. If he doesn't do similar, the reason why I'm choosing him, because is his past performances, what he's done. And if I can't see he's going to get back to that, maybe the injury trouble from last year has obviously made effect on him. But again, I'm just going to put the options out there. He could do well, and then he'll be a fantastic pick. But if he doesn't, you're going to have to change your squad up a bit, because you can see he's around that 300k price. And if you just look at that right now, there isn't really an amazing player you would straight swap for him. You're going to have to change your squad up a bit then, which will be unfortunate. You have to make changes to your team, even though I think there could be a couple breakout players, but I'll talk about that in other videos. I'll keep that to a surprise. And you can see players have missed out here. I'll talk about them soon, but the rookie price players here, Laidler, obviously transferred from Carlton this season to Sydney. I still think he's a good player. I always thought he was a good player. Not sure why he wasn't played much at Carlton, but still, really puzzled. But at Sydney, if they can give him a chance, he could be a decent player, even though, he just needs to play, to be honest, because he's that cheap rookie price, and there's not much of those this season, because the high draft picks, they've been elevated in terms of their price, it makes the game harder, which I like as an experienced player. I think playing it for 6 or 7 years now, but probably about 4 or 5 years knowing what I'm doing. The first couple years, I didn't really know what I was doing, but then just with the experience of the game, got better. And also a couple Western Bulldogs players as well. Christian Howard, who's actually played before. He's played a few games, but only played once last year, so hopefully he can come back and play some games. He's still a younger type coming through, so if he gets the chance, he can do alright. I think the first season he played, he was one of those cash cows rookie players, and he wasn't bad, so hopefully, I'm not sure if he had injury troubles last season or something, but hopefully he can come back and do a good job. But still, like I said before, it's going to be just waiting to see if he plays in the NAB Cup, and if he does well, or if anyone else does well, I'll straight swap him to another similar price rookie player. So, and also, again, a similar type, Fuller. He's another younger player coming in for his first season, I believe. So, and you can see he's a bit more, because, again, a drafted player. So that's why this year you're probably going to have to look at those players that have been in the system for a couple of years, but whether they have injury troubles or haven't played because they couldn't get into the first team. You see here, like Polek and Xavier Alice, formerly of Hawthorn. So and Benell as well from Melbourne. So those are the kind of players you're going to have to look for this year, at least in your initial setup of your squad. That's what I've noticed on the first days of doing it anyway. And then next up, my midfield, I believe, is really, really strong. You see, you got Dane Swan and Ablett. Those are, you have to pick them in my opinion, and they're both underpriced, I believe, to what they can achieve in terms of fantasy. Even though Ablett is playing a bit more forward, but you have to have Ablett. He's amazing. In previous years, I believe Ablett has been more expensive than Swan, so I think Ablett has a really good price, because I think last season he went down a little bit in his scores towards the end of last season, which I thought at the time, like when I was seeing it last year, at the end of the season, I thought that this was perfect. Like in my head, I thought Ablett, I was saying to myself, he's going to be underpriced for next year. This is going to be perfect. But a lot of people are going to have him anyway, so And even Swan, he's a bit, I don't know if he's underpriced, but 117, I think he can average more than that. Swan, he could average over 120 in my opinion, and even Ablett can as well. So those two, even Pendlebury, he's just a consistent guy who's going to give you hundreds most weeks, or at least, he's never going to give you bad results. Like, he always seems as a good player for me in Dream Team. He always puts out good performance. Even though he gets tagged, he's one of those players that gets tagged but still pumps out decent scores and doesn't really get a poor score. Maybe once a season, or he's a really good player in terms of fantasy. Always picks up the points, and the only concern are 3 Collingwood players. When the buys come around, that might be an issue, and I haven't really looked in buys at the moment, and that will definitely affect my choosing on my squad when it comes to the deadline day and all of that. When it comes to lockout, deadline day, I'm used to saying from FIFA. Obviously, I do FIFA career mode videos, so if you want to check them out, do so if you like FIFA. But anyway, I got Cochin as well. He's underpriced again, in my opinion. Had not a great season. The season before, he actually did really good. I thought, he was becoming into a really good player, and he's a class player in the game, or more so in real life. He's one of the best midfielders in the competition. You have to have him, so I think he is underpriced, especially if you compare him to Pendlebury. 100k cheaper than Pendlebury, when I still think Pendlebury would do better than him, but I don't think Cochin will be too far off. And Cochin is always just an ever improving. He's still a young player, which is scary to think. He's still a class player. Any team will love to have him in. So he's a lock in my opinion for my team. And also Beams. Dane Beams is a class player. Still, again, another young player coming through, and he's only going to improve, which is scary. Averaged 101 last season, which he's definitely underpriced because he only played 7 games, so he's going to have that. He's a discounted player, so he has to be a lock in my opinion, unless his NAB Cup performances are not too impressive, but he's just insane. He's an insane young player, and he's only going to get better, which, again, is scary to think. Mark Murphy had a very bad season last season. Played a lot of games, so he's not a discounted player. He didn't play well last season. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back, but still, in my head, he's going to be the go-to tag, so I'm still second thinking about him because he's going to be tagged a lot, and I'm not sure he's going to be the number 1 go-to because Judge, they're not really focusing on him anymore as he's getting a bit older, so they don't think he's such as a threat anymore, and Murphy's the guy to tag, but still, I think he'll average more than 85, so if anything, I still think he will increase in price, even if it's just a little bit. And you'll be able to upgrade him to maybe a guy that's coming through, another guy that's around that price. You can notice in the first couple games, and you can swap him into that price. So that's why I always want to have a guy that's around that price, so you can almost do a straight swap for someone. So I'll just show you an example here. This is just going to be a pure example, as I said. So I'm going to go down into the price. He's around like the 450s or something. And a guy, around here, that guys that could potentially break out. Someone like, where are we here? Armitage. And where's another guy? This is one guy I actually want to look. Luke Shuey, I reckon he could be a guy to break through, definitely. He could be a straight swap. If Shuey, he starts fantastically, I could easily just go from a swap from Murphy to Shuey. And of course now, there's no limit on trades. There you can do the 2 every week. And that will be the go-to for me if, someone similar to Shuey does well, or even Hanbury as well. That would be the go-to swap for me if any of those 2 do well. And of course, Dale Thomas, he's a decent fantasy player. Of course, he's had his injury problems, but I think he can step up and do at least increase in price. I'm not sure if he's going to be a premium midfielder, but still, I think he can increase in price. And again, you can promote him to a bigger guy once he does increase. Hoping for that anyway. I'm sure many people have him in his team, in your team anyway. So that's going to be a problem. I've noticed in fantasy, guys that are high selected, a lot of the time they do bad. Like, last year, like Carnesis, he was a very well selected player. He was a bit cheaper, but still, he burned a lot of people. And I'm really dodgy about those players that are high selected, because for whatever reason, a lot of the time they seem to just be a spud, because they're high selected and they don't produce the goods. But that's just my experience anyway. Not with all players that are high selected, a lot of players. That's just my experience anyway. So then we had these three cheap guys here, the rookie prices with Xavier Alice, Bernal, and Pollock, and they're guys who's already played at the AFL level before. So like I've said before, and the defenders, they're the guys you have to go for, because all the drafted players, they're more expensive. So even initially, even if they were the same price, I would want to go with these guys because they have the experience under the belt. More so Xavier Alice, I think he's the more locked on, because he was at Hawthorn, which is a tough squad to get into, and I always thought he was a decent player. Bernal coming from Melbourne, I'm not sure, from Melbourne to West Coast, I'm not really sure if he can get in, to be honest, in the first team, because Melbourne, not a great team. But who knows, just really depends in NAB Cup and all of that. He may impress. Still remains to be seen. Pollock, Port Adelaide play with a very young squad, and he can fit into that. It just really depends. But he isn't the fittest player, so that could be a concern. Just got to see how he plays in the NAB Cup. It's a bit weird to say. He isn't the fittest player, but he is quick. And yeah, he's got decent foot skills apparently. So again, it just has to see how he develops into the team. And that. But yeah, as I said, he's not really fit. Like, his fitness is a problem at the moment. That's a key concern. But now moving into Ruckman. Sandilands coming back. He used to be one of the key Ruckman. So if he can get his game together and not get injured, he could be a really key player. Especially at that price. You have to at least consider him. And yeah, I'm going to have him for now unless he doesn't impress, because a couple of years ago, he was in my team. He was a fantastic player. And also next up, Sam Jacobs, who had a bad season last season. Before then, the previous season, I believe he averaged in the 80s. And yeah, he was really good. He was a good ruckman. So hopefully he can get back into that. So hopefully some value picks in the ruck. Then I've picked some current guys who I think will get a chance. This Sydney player, what's his name? Nate Curvis. I think he may get a chance with Sydney losing a couple of ruckmen. Mumford going to GWS. So he could potentially get a chance as a young player at 170k. I'm not sure. Still remains to be seen. But still, we have to see what happens with him if he gets a chance throughout the NAB Cup. And Curry, of course, for Kangaroos. I believe he was a chance last year. But still, as that fourth ruck, I think he can be alright. It just, again, depends if he's going to play or not. Then moving on to the forwards. Dangerfield, don't need it. He's a lock. You have to put him in as a forward. If anyone was going to be the next Gary Ablett currently in the AFL, he would be the guy. Even though I don't think he'll be as good as Ablett, it's going to be hard to get as good as him. But still, if anyone was going to, he's the man. Dustin Martin as well. For me, my thing, you got to select players that you believe, your premium players. You got to believe they're going to be there at the end. And only one exception to that for me is Mark Murphy. If he doesn't perform, I'll do what I said about him. I already said what I'm going to do with him, like to Hannaberry or Shuey if they potentially show good signs, because they aren't really the go-to tags for their team, or sometimes they are actually, but not often. It just really depends on the teams, I guess. But still, a lot of these players I see as being in my first team, and I'm hoping them to be there for the whole time. But still, like I said, the team's going to undergo a lot of changes, as I said, and Dangerfield, Martin going to be there. Wingard as well, he's just ever improving. And saying that, all these players here can only improve. You got Dangerfield, Martin, and Wingard. They're great young players of the AFL, but they're only going to improve, which is scary to think. So it's good to have them in. And also, I went with some 3 cheaper players. I got a lot of cheaper players in the forward line and put more of the money into midfield, because the midfielders, bring you the biggest scores. So I thought that was logical for me, and so I could get this, especially Dangerfield, some big guys in there, and McVeigh and Mitchell in defence. For Solo, who's going to play by all reports, so it's all good. He's back from his injury, everything. So just wait to see in NAB Cup if he's playing. Lock him in because he's going to get some decent scores. I hope anyway. A lot of people would have him, so it's going to be one of those selections once again. Nahas, I think he could be very good value this season. It depends if he can fit into the Kangaroos team. I think he could fit in perfectly. If he gets into the top 22, like the starting 22, I believe he can be a good player. He suits into the attacking game, I guess, and he's a smaller type. He's a smaller forward, which I think he could fit into that role perfectly. He could score a lot of goals, and a couple of years ago, he actually scored decently, over 80. So if he can get back to that, will be a bargain at that price. Gary Rowan, coming back from his injury problems, and he's at that rookie price, so he could potentially come back. He came back last year, so I believe Sydney still believe he can be a quality player for the first team, and Sydney do need to go through a rebuilding stage, to be honest, start blooding some young players, and Rowan should definitely fit into that. He's a good young prospect, so he could come through. And also Garlett, he's a young prospect Hawthorn got, Dale Garlett. He should be a very good young prospect. Hawthorn did well to actually get him in the draft. He's a really good talent, and he should find some game time, even though I don't think he's going to play consistently, because Hawthorn, again, they're probably going to look to push for a grand final once again, and they're going to play experienced players, even though young players do get chances, but usually they would start as a sub. So Garlett, a lot of people I think will pick him, though I do have him as well, even though I do think he's going to be a sub a lot of the time, whether it be starting as sub or get subbed if he's starting. So that's on him. And also Honeychurch from Western Bulldogs. Again, not much known about him. Like if you're not a hardcore Dream Team player, you're probably not going to know about him. And I don't know I don't know. I'm not a guy who covers a lot of the Dream Team or know a lot about the AFL. I usually just look for tips from the known websites on the internet, like Dream Team Talk and that, and look to follow my selections around that. But the premium players, I just look at those sites more so for the rookie players, so I can get them in, and then I can choose my premium players the way I believe. And the mid prices, even though mid prices is not really something you should base your team around, more so one or two max. Like you got Dal Thomas, that's pretty much it for me, and Suckling, and the rest are premium players. So yeah, that's pretty much it. This is just an overview. Hopefully I can bring some more tips as the NAB Cup games comes around, and that's when it's going to be for me. I'm not, again, like I said, I'm not going to be someone who has amazing tips. I'm just someone who follows other good websites like Dream Team Talk to follow tips, and I just want to give it to my own way. And also I want to give information in my own way, not really copying anyone or something like that. But honestly, I don't specialize in Dream Team. If you see my channel, over 20,000 subscribers from FIFA and Football Manager videos. So that's not from Dream Team skill or anything or expert. Even though I do think I'm an expert somewhat, still that's not what my channel is about. So this is just something I want to do on the side, and some people will like it, but the majority won't want to watch it who are subscribed to me. So if you want to subscribe for some Dream Team, I'm going to cover my season. If you want to see how I go, like if you think, sure, you could think my team is crap so far, no doubt I think it'd be improved, but still, you could think I'm crap. You can just follow my season. Nonetheless, I probably won't care if you think it's crap, because of course of my amount of views and subscribers on my channel, but still, that's not the point. I'm just saying I want to give my tips for Dream Team. I'm sure there's going to be many people who are not great at Dream Team, and hopefully can get some tips from my videos. If they do, that's all good, but I kind of want to document my season to show you, hopefully, I can have a good season and get a high ranking and all of that. That's something I take pride in. Usually I finish well, but I still believe I can improve in that. I want to finish really high, at least in top 100. That will be insane. But I always have dreams of winning it. I've never won it, obviously. So that's going to be my goal for this year. And I'm going to do Supercoach as well, cover it. So hopefully enjoy these videos. If you do, that's great. And drop a like, and I'll see you guys next time.